Hey everyone, welcome to Anything Live. This is Cyndi Galley. I am so excited to be coming to you from Tulsa, Oklahoma. And so we're going to have every now and then a time where Anything Live is on the road, and this is one of those times. You know how much I love having those national holidays and celebrating just different things that go on in our nation. I really feel like this is a time to bring our nation together. And so that being said, today we're going to focus and hear from a college student attending none other than my very own Oral Roberts University, where I graduated, received my master's degree from ORU in 2000. Come on, 23 years ago. It really feels like it was just only a couple of years ago. But I am so proud of my cousin. I believe you're going to love hearing his heart. You're going to just hear some things, and I believe they're going to resonate with you, whether you're a student or not, whether you've went to school or not. I really believe with all of my heart, you're going to be inspired and encouraged to doing that new thing that God has for you. He has something new for every one of us. So without further ado, please welcome my very own, our very own, Jake Burrola.
I've been a student here at Oral Roberts University for the past year and a half now. I transferred in as a junior. I am in my senior year of my undergraduate program, and next year I'll be completing my master's in business administration. Really excited about that. And I found about Oral Roberts through a Disneyland trip, actually, about 5 years ago. I was a junior in high school, and I wasn't sure where the Lord wanted me to go. And I had all these plans naturally in my mind about, oh, I'll probably just end up at UCLA because I live in Southern California and the UC system is highly regarded. So my dad went there. It just made sense. So either UCLA or there's another Cal State school called Cal State Fullerton I thought I would attend. And I've always been told, for me, I'm a faith-believing Christian, and I consider myself a practicing Christian. And so with that, my faith is very dear to me. And so I thought, like, those universities, I didn't really understand the culture of those universities, but I did know that there were Christian clubs. So I thought I would find some sort of companionship and fellowship there to help me stay in my faith and believe and continue to believe what I had been believing for, at that time, 5 years. I was at Disneyland. I was on the phone with my friend, and I simply explained that I just want to go where the Lord has me. And she kept on asking, like, well, where is that? And I said, I don't know. And so I hung up with that phone call, and I was waiting 10 minutes for the show to start. And then I noticed there was these two, like, young adults, girls next to me, and they were oddly standing, and I was just feeling this weird energy from them. I know that sounds so strange, but there was nothing. I just felt off. And then all of a sudden, one of them approached me and was like, I didn't mean to be rude, but I was overhearing your conversation, and we just graduated from Oral Roberts University. And so we started talking about that, and just how I was like, yeah, my cousin went there. And then this other guy turned around and said, yeah, I just graduated from Cal Baptist, which is a private Christian school in Riverside, California. And yeah, I thought nothing of it. I went there that Friday night with them, connected with them. I don't have social media, so there really wasn't a way for us to connect. But we ended up seeing each other again 2 days later at the same show on that Sunday. And we exchanged contact information. We have our phone numbers now. And we started hanging out at Disneyland. And they go to a church in the Orange County region of California. And one day I slept into my church services. Don't tell Jesus. But then I drove down to theirs. Yeah, he does. He
already knew that you were going to sleep through.
That is true. You might say that this was destined. But yes. So I ended up attending their church service that evening at the 5 p.m. where I ran into their parents, which we'll come back to later. It's very, you can say funny or coincidental, but looking back, it is the Lord who really directed my steps to meet this incredible family. Anyway, it was that exact Sunday, that the church decided to announce their college program for the public. And I thought nothing of it. I had the pastor reach out to me out of the blue, and he asked me if I wanted to join or what my next steps were in the church. He was trying to get me more involved in the church, and let me know I'm very connected in my home church in Anaheim, California, but I am interested in your college program. And he said, yeah, we would love to have you. And I was like, okay, well, I need to finish my senior year of high school first, because I was finishing up my junior year at the time. So it sounded very promising, and there was something about it. I just felt peace. I took a step of faith, and it was the best decision I ever made. Going to Free Chapel College was the name of the college. I grew so much in my self-confidence, in my giftings, in my public speaking ability. Something like speaking in front of a camera even is something I wouldn't gravitate towards until after this program. So it's really helped me set apart ever since then. I think that's why I've landed a lot of the great jobs and opportunities that I've had. But moving on from that, I realized the value of being in a Christian community and the importance that iron truly does sharpen iron. And that doesn't mean that necessarily one is stronger than the other or one is better than the other. Iron is the same as iron. It just sharpens each other. There's different aspects that we can bring to the table that we need. It's important that we don't live isolated lives. We're not called to do this walk by ourselves, but with other people. And the more I prayed about it, and I felt a prompting to go to ORU, to Oral Roberts University, which is very surprising because born and raised in Southern California, specifically Los Angeles County, I never would have thought that I would end up in a state such as Oklahoma with the connotation of that, thinking of that it was all farmland and just coming from California, very biased, I know. And my friends that I met at Disneyland, their dad is actually a trustee member, and he invited me out to spend a couple days here at the university where we're sitting here. And I was actually at the same building on my first trip for the groundbreaking ceremony. And I remember that the president of the university turned the shovel 3 times for the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And that was my first time really being, I just found that a little odd. That's not something that we normally do in Southern California in terms of our churches. It was something that I considered radical at the time. I couldn't believe that they were turning the shovel 3 times to represent the Trinity, because it just seems like a little over symbolic at the time. And now I realize that's just the beauty of this place, that people love the Lord so much that they want to incorporate him into as many aspects as they can, including turning the shovel for the first of 4 new buildings on the university. As you can tell, I very much love this campus and all that it's growing in. I'm excited to see the Lord's hand continue to move. We're only in phase 1 of the expansion process here on campus, and with that phase, it's not a small phase. There's 4 new buildings. 2 have already come and 2 more to go. But yeah, so that is a very lengthy story of how I decided to choose Oral Roberts as my university. So when I got accepted into Oral Roberts University, the first thing I did was call my mom. And I let her know that, hey, this is where I'm going, and I'm getting this huge scholarship that they're giving me every year to attend the university. And she was so excited, so thrilled, like a good mother should be for her son getting into the university that he really wanted to get into. And even though I know with that, as I told more and more of the family, they were not necessarily disappointed of what university I chose, but more the location and where I would be leaving home and not seeing them for months at a time. That was the first time even when I went to junior college, I lived at home. So I always had the privilege of being close to my grandparents, to my brother, to my friends, to my family. Coming from a highly performing high school where it was not uncommon for people to get into UCLA or UC Berkeley, UCI, or the Ivy Leagues. I know someone who went to Harvard. I know someone who went to Cornell. I know someone who's going to Washington University, which is, I believe, number 16 in the nation right now. And I also did very well in high school. I'm not sure if I would have been able to get into those schools, but I know I would at least be able to get into a UC. So with that, there is that brand recognition that people gravitate towards and really put their identity in. Comparing myself to my friends, I'm realizing how privileged I am to attend a university that empowers their students so much to be leaders and to be confident public speakers and to represent themselves and the kingdom of God well. We also perform better than most universities because we are so mission driven. We realize our degree is not just for ourselves, but it's to represent Christ to the lost and the broken in our industries, whether that is a traditional ministry, or if it, for myself, that's someone in the marketing industry, that could be someone in finance, someone in the medical field, someone in the engineering field. So it's a really cool mission that every student here gets to be a part of. So it was my first time going to a traditional university where we had class every day. I was in class for, I want to say, just under 20 hours a week. And that doesn't include your lunch time, and that doesn't include your passing periods, and that doesn't include also you just living your life, having to, I fortunately enough have a meal plan here, so we have all of our meals provided for, but still having to go make time for the meals because they're only open during a certain allotted time, to do laundry with everyone else on your floor because there's only one washer and dryer on the floor. I've learned that college is so much more than an education. It really builds your character, and it shapes how you think. It shapes how you respond in certain situations. Am I going to respond in anger or in frustration, or am I going to learn how to love people? A great example of this is group projects. As a marketing major, yes, the College of Business here does emphasize group projects a lot, but especially as a marketing major, it's presentations and group projects. And so with that, everyone is at a different level. What's so great about the university is most people here, the vast majority, want to do well and do love the Lord. And they want to do their best for him and for others. And so, but however, we're all not at the same skill set. We're even at the same spiritual level. We're just not there. So some people are not as gracious as others. And I'm sure you have much lived experience when it comes to areas of this. We all do. You have to learn, okay, how can I best serve my team? How can I respond in a loving way? Because I believe the best in them. And that was not always easy to do, but believing, they also want to do well, even though they maybe are not putting in the most effort. I don't know what's going on in their personal life, and they probably have never been taught to do this. And I just would much rather be someone to encourage them and to pull them up than someone to push them down, because I'm sure that through their lives they had a lot more of that than someone pulling them up and strengthening them to be who they are called to be, who they're purposed and designed to be. The content of the class is great, but it's really those people skills that are preparing me and our graduates for when we do enter into those managerial, or even, as I believe some students will enter, a C-suite level, executive level position. So here at the university, I serve as president of the Marketing Society here on campus. And with that, I get to work with incredible individuals such as the faculty head for the club, the dean of the College of Business. I get to interact with so many great speakers who are very influential in their field. And so with that, I was invited to an alumni luncheon. And with that, I got to meet incredible alumni from all over the country. I got to meet Robert Rush, who is the chief people officer for the largest homeless nonprofit in the nation, based out of the Valley, or in Southern California in Los Angeles County. That was such a great experience. I got to meet someone who works for the U.S. Department of Defense, and he serves in the legal team over there, and he is very influential in the DC area. And so it's great to see these alumni that have gone before us as students, or us the students, and see them prosper in the fields in which they are prospering, and it's very encouraging. It makes me realize that, one day I can get to this level. One day I could be in the top 1% of America's wealth, not just for the sake of self-gain, but to be able to give and continue to empower other people, other students, for that legacy that ORU is so known for. So if it isn't clear by now, I'm very much grateful for the opportunity to be a student here at Oral Roberts University. It has been a life-changing and life-marking step in my life. I'm so excited to take these 2 degrees and run with them. I have this great internship lined up over the summer, and I'm planning on working there afterwards. The goal is to own my own marketing firm and to market companies who I believe are adding to society, whether that is something as like an amusement park, or if that's a new water company, or if it's something like a ministry that will be able to help and serve the community. Whatever it may be, I'm so grateful that I get to be a part of it. So one thing that Tulsa has absolutely taught me is that it's okay to do something new. All these biases that I had coming into the state about how other parts of the country would be have been completely obliterated. Regardless of what I once thought, I realized there's just so much more to life than where you're from and the culture that you grew up in. And I can really see a difference in myself attending this university, and also in my family. We have never been so close, and we've never loved each other so much and wanted to be around each other so much. It's been a beautiful experience, not only in my academic life, but in my personal life. And now I'm proud to say that there will be 2 members of our family who are an alumni from Oral Roberts University.
So this is the fun part of today's interview, is some fun facts about Oral Roberts University. And I know you would make a great tour guide here. Yeah. I know it's...
Say it louder.
You would make a great tour guide here. Okay, so behind us is the Praying Hands. True or false?
Well, now they're called the Praying Hands, but they weren't always called the Praying Hands.
Okay, so when did they become... Okay, wait. You threw me off.
Sorry.
It's okay. Okay. Yes, these are two cousins here now. So,
I know.
okay. So
Oh,
people
can't
have
go
called them the
anywhere.
praying hands, but they were not originally the praying hands.
Correct.
Okay. So what were they called?
They were originally the healing
the
hands.
healing hands.
And they were placed in, they were called that because they were placed in front of Cityplex Towers, which are the three towers across the way, which, quick fun fact, they are the height, length, and depth of Noah's Ark, the same measurement, standing at 20, 30, and 60 floors tall. The smallest tower on the left had 777 hospital beds.
Love that.
It was intended for a medical research center, not only to treat, but to research and develop cures for cancer and stuff of that sort. And so with that, they had this statue signifying, yes, we believe in medicine, which is the left hand, but we also believe in the healing of faith, which is the right hand. So if you notice, the right hand is slightly above the left to signify the importance that we're first led by faith. And then with the natural, because again, which reflects back into Oral Roberts University's calling as a whole person education, body, mind, and spirit.
Yes.
Yes.
Love that. So good.
Me too.
Okay. So when you first moved in, you were living in a dorm.
Correct.
What was the name of that dorm?
I lived in Michael. We call it Michael. They're named off of, I'm pretty sure, donors or influential founders of the building or of the university. Because this dorm that I was in is pretty old building, pretty original to the university. So yeah, we just call it Michael.
Michael. And when you moved in, you were no longer able to open the windows.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes,
and this is because?
Well, a couple of years ago, I know it's been at least 10 years ago, we had some freshman boys who thought it'd be funny to throw a stove outside of the window. We also thought the freshman boys thought it was funny to throw mattresses out of the window. Really anything they could get their hands and throw it out of the window, they did. And so they locked said windows.
This is just the lifestyle.
And they, fun fact, that's why the guys' dorms does not have, or in the freshman dorms, does not have any kitchen for you to cook in, but the girls' dorms do, because they were wise enough not to throw stoves out the window.
And what girl could, except for maybe Wonder Woman?
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe Linda Carter?
Maybe.
Okay, and then chapel, that happens 2 days a week here on campus.
It does,
and is mandatory.
Yes.
At least when I was, it was
Yes,
mandatory.
still is.
Okay. What is one of the things that you love most about chapel?
It's so easily stated. It is the ability to go to school with, to live with, and to worship the Lord with your friends.
Yes.
All together. You guys are all doing the same thing. You have the exact same lifestyle. Granted, you're studying different things.
Sure.
But even in that, I know a lot of people. I'm in the College of Business. I know a lot of people in the College of Business who I get to sit next to in chapel. It is a beautiful, miraculous, supernatural experience.
Very
beautiful,
cool.
Beautiful.
I love that. And we'll just end with food because you love food.
I do love food.
What is one of your favorite things to eat here on campus?
Oh, not the best question. Let's try it.
No, we're going to end with that question.
Yeah. Are you want me to answer that question?
Sure, go ahead.
Oh, goodness. The best part here, I know. This one I got. It's Chick-fil-A, because the Chick-fil-A in this part of the world is different than in California. I actually do not eat Chick-fil-A back home anymore because the chicken's just not the same. It's so much better in this part of the country.
Because the chickens here probably have the free roaming chicken and whatever.
Maybe. Yeah. I'm not sure. It's bigger, it's juicier. It even has a little kick to it. It's so much better than back home.
And why should somebody come and visit ORU, even if they've already graduated from college and they have no desire? Why should somebody come and make Oral Roberts University a place on their must visits or must do's in this lifetime?
Firstly, it's to experience truly heaven on earth, to have all these people who are going towards one mission together, and to be in that environment. Iron really does sharpen iron, and you leave feeling better than you came on. I remember my first visit here, I didn't even ask my friends if we were on campus. I asked them, hey, are we on campus? Because in Oklahoma, there's not as many lights on the roads as there are back home in California. And so I asked them, like, hey, are we on campus? And they were like, yeah, how did you know? I'm like, I just felt the presence of the Lord when we drove on. It was, I will never forget that experience. So yes, from that, it's a very inspirational trip. The prayer tower is open Monday through Friday, 12 through 5. Great place to seek the Lord and also pray in the same locations where so many ministries have been birthed out of. So many great ministers have prayed. And when it was first opened, students were not allowed up. It was only like,
I do remember that,
legitimate ministry leaders who have been
Yes.
walking in their faith for years.
And now you can go up to the prayer tower
Yep.
and pray yourself.
Yeah, what a privilege.
And a beautiful
What a
view it
privilege.
is.
Yes, you get to see downtown Tulsa.
Yes.
You get to see all of the campus. And like when I lived in Michael, and even now that I live in a different dorm called Nico, it's really cool. You're standing in the prayer tower and you look over and you're like, I live there. There's something about it. It is also a quick fun fact about so many fun facts about the prayer tower, but the one that I love the most is that it is specifically placed in the center of the university because everything starts with prayer.
Yes.
So all the main buildings, all the main entrances of the buildings face the prayer tower, whether that's where you go to school in terms of the classrooms, the student hangout facility, recreational facility,
Yep.
even the gym, even that is on the far edge of campus. All of the main doors face the prayer tower.
I love that.
Yeah,
so
me
good.
too.
So intentional. And I
Yes.
think it's just the way that God is when you see the Old Testament and you're
True.
reading how
True.
Noah was instructed to make the ark and how Moses was instructed to make the tabernacle, just very specific details that the Lord gave. And I do actually want to end on this note, not on the food note. There is an eternal flame that is in front of one of the buildings, and it never goes out. Do you know why that never goes out?
It symbolizes the eternal presence of the Holy Spirit that dwells on this campus. One thing that Oral really was driven by, to build this university on the presence of the Holy Spirit. And so there's actually 3 eternal flames on campus, even though only 2 of them are eternally lit. But 3 of them were built.
This is true.
Yes.
Yeah.
Beautiful. It's a beautiful place.
It's so true. And as you're saying that, I just want to say, I remember being in chapel, and it was one where Oral came to chapel, and it was for me, one of the most magnificent, it was one of the most magnificent times of being here. And of course, I loved being a student here at Oral Roberts. I loved the community. I loved my classes. I loved my professors. I loved what I learned. But it was just such a precious moment to see this spiritual giant. And really, he was leading the way in so much televangelism and all of these things that were just not really popular. And a lot of ministries and ministers weren't doing that at the time. And just putting his faith out there and trusting the Lord and the things that God had put in his heart. But when he came up on stage, we all started chanting, Oral, Oral,
That must have been
and
so
the
great.
all the student body, and we were cheering, and I just remember having a lump in my throat and just having tears in my eyes. But truly, that was like a magnificent moment. And then, I never did see him again. And then, of course, when he passed, it was a very, we do know that we are all called. Every one of us who have breath in us right now, we will all pass away at some point.
True.
But just knowing that, such a spiritual giant had passed, and somebody who really was part of my DNA, part of your DNA now. That was just a hard day, but still his legacy lives on.
Yes.
And in you, and even all of the people that you're called to teach and called to reach. And you're one of thousands of students who his obedience and his yes has impacted forever. So we never know what our yes will do and who will all impact and who will benefit as a result of that. All right. Well, you would make a great tour guide.
Thank you. That's my goal. And also to get my 2 degrees.
Yeah.
Yes, please, Lord. Nah, I'm doing well.
You're doing good.
Yes.
You're doing good. Love you.
I love you so much.
So proud of you. I love that kid. And I say kid because in my eyes, I still see this little Jakey that I grew up with. But just such a precious young man, precious man of God. And we're in full agreement with what Jake wants to do. I just love seeing the transformation and hearing what God has done in his heart from the moment he said yes to coming to ORU to now just having his eyes open to the beauty of all of the cultures and realizing that there's so much more than what we know. And I really believe that that's a message for every one of us. So many of us have these experiences, or maybe we've only lived in this one part of the world, or maybe we've only experienced this one type of community. And we close ourselves off from other communities, not realizing, oh no, there's beauty for every one of us, no matter what community, no matter who and what you identify with, racially, economically, politically, all of these different things that really have recently brought such a divide. If we would just open our eyes and say, kind of like the Beatles, they said it, what the world needs now is, all you need is love. I think it was Diana Ross and the Supreme said, what the world needs now is love. And really, it goes back to Jesus in his word. It is love, and there is no greater thing. Paul said, no greater love is the greatest of all of these things. And so I pray that you were inspired. I know I am encouraged, even just hearing the freshness and the newness of this precious man who's given his life and said yes to doing something new. And oh my goodness, the world hasn't seen anything yet until they've experienced the new coming of new graduate Jake Burrola. So congratulations, Jake, as you wrap up your last year and a half of school. We're so proud of you. Hey, thank you guys so much for joining us. If you have any prayer requests, please email us at anewthing.live@gmail.com. If you've not yet subscribed to us, we've got so many different types of videos coming down the pipeline this year. And because I'm always about that new thing, but share this episode maybe with a student or somebody who's finishing up high school. Share this episode maybe with someone that you just know, hey, this would just be something I think that they would love to see and to watch. We do love you. We pray for you. Be safe, and we'll see you next week on A New Thing Live. Bye-bye.